Nice. Hello and welcome. Evening to T8. Hello and welcome. TL Hunter. We are back today with another edition of Green White Black Maverick. So, some small changes to the deck that we've made is we've changed up the main deck non-green creatures. So this time I'm trying out a Palace Jailer and 2 Plague Engineers in the main deck over the Sanctum Prelate. We did have a second Sanctum Prelate in the deck, but I'm pretty happy with our combo matchup in the main deck. So I wanted to have a little bit more redundancy against some of the creature decks. So Plague Engineer seems like a pretty great card to play with. It's of course a 2/2 for 3 Death Touch with when it enters the battlefield you choose a creature type and all creatures your opponents control get -1/-1. So one reason that I haven't liked Palace Jailer in the deck for a while is mainly because of True Name and Flyers. So the ability for my opponent to actually gain the crown and protect it is pretty high. And with Maverick being a really consistent deck, I don't really want a kind of back and forth mechanic like the crown being in the deck. But I think with the Plague Engineers and a bit more removal in Abrupt Decay as well, that Jailer is going to be fine. It should be pretty interesting to see how it goes. So the main deck is pretty straightforward. Running 3 Giver of Runes and a Sylvan Safekeeper in the 4th spot, just so we have a Green Sun Zenith target for protection. Safekeeper also has the added ability of being able to activate its ability straight away, whereas Giver, of course, has Summoning Sickness. Just 3 Thalias as well. We do have a Gaddock Teeg in the main deck as well, acting a little bit like the 4th Thalia. But with the amount of sort of -1/-1 hate around right now, I'm pretty keen just to run the 3. 4 Knights, only 3 Nobles and 1 Bird. So I've taken out the 4th Noble, just to add another flex slot to the main deck, but still have those 4 Mana Dorks along with Dryad Arbor. Because we're still wanting to, try to pressure out a turn 2 3-drop, like Knight of the Reliquary, or something like a Knight of Autumn if we really need it. For non-creature spells, 2 Sylvan Libraries is really there to just shore up the consistency of the deck. So wanting to make sure that we're trying to draw into the right side of the deck against Storm, and then against a totally different deck like Death and Taxes. Just wanting to make sure that the consistency is there, and Sylvan Library is really good at doing that. And then of course just the main deck Abrupt Decays and Plague Engineers. We do have access to 2 Bayous and a Scrubland off the fetches for black mana, and also a Nurturing Peatland instead of Horizon Canopy, mainly just because we wanted the extra black source. So that'll be interesting to see how it goes in the main deck. We do also have a Birds of Paradise, of course, which can make black mana. So that's the reasoning why I went for 1 bird over the 4th Hierarch. Also, just having a blocker is really nice in the air. Sometimes Birds and Giver is just enough to buy some time against something like Delver or Dark Depths to find an actual answer for the threat. So Birds definitely does have a lot of sort of work to it. Probably the big downside of the Birds of Paradise in the main deck is that without a sort of Fire and Ice, or really Stoneforge Mystic package in general, this bird can only attack with Exalted, so it can be a little bit lackluster at times, but I'm more than happy to take that for the upside of having a black producing dork. I was thinking of Gilded Goose, but I think I want to try to play around with some sort of Bant deck with Oko in it as well, so we actually have multiple food processors to create food for the Goose, because I don't think Maverick is a deck that wants to just hold up 2 mana to create a food token, and also have access to a mana dork that doesn't actually really do anything without food. So still pretty happy with these guys. To the sideboard, it's pretty straightforward. So we have the combo matchups. Veilism also good against the blue decks. Thoughtseize is good against the Stoneblade decks. Leyline of choice is the Void, mainly just for, of course, Graveyard Shenanigans, looking at Dredge, looking at Reanimator. I was a little bit sick and tired of always getting caught out by Chancellor or Hand Disruption and then my opponent going off, so Surgical and Fairy Macabre have gone to the sidelines, and Leylines come in to hopefully do some solid work. We've only got 2 creatures in the sideboard, being Collector Ouphe and Sanctum Prelate. 2 really good cards. Collector Ouphe, pretty outstanding against the Astrolabe decks and also the Karn decks. And also, because we're not playing a Stoneforge Mystic package, it's pretty phenomenal in the Stoneforge sort of mirror. So that's going to be really fun. Part to Exile, just an extra sort of card against the Delver decks. I know against Rug Delver don't play basics, so Part to Exile has a huge upside against Swords to Plowshares. Council's Judgment's mainly for Planeswalkers and True Name Nemesis, in case we don't get to Plague Engineer, but just a really nice all-round sort of catch-all. And then Vraska Golgari Queen is an interesting one. So Vraska is pretty much an Abrupt Decay on a stick for 4 mana. So it's an Abrupt Decay effect that sticks around. It's really good against the grindy decks. Being able to also make use of your, maybe like if you flat out in the early game, you can then start sacking lands to actually start drawing cards and draw into gas. So Vraska should be pretty fun to play with. She is a 4-drop creature, so she does get stopped by Teeg and she might get taxed by Thalia, but I still wanted to try her out and see how she goes, because if we can destroy something and then maybe even get an extra turn with her, I think she's going to be really powerful. So we'll see how that goes. We'll go straight into a league. It's going to... Nice. League with Maverick. TL Hunter, what are you playing in Maverick right now? What color sequence are you playing? I know there's a few people trying out 4-color Maverick, which is pretty cool. I've always been a big fan of the Black Splash, but green-white also has a lot of merit to it. Whew. Alright, we have the first match, which is really nice. On the draw against Jalitisa. Not sure what my opponent's playing, but I would love to see a start that's not like this. Sadly, it's a 2-lander, but we don't really have an acceleration for Noble Hierarch or Birds of Paradise in a green source. Even if we did draw into a green source, I guess we could cast Knight or Plague Engineer. We do have a pretty high upside of drawing into a fetch land or green source pretty early, but I'm not a big fan of keeping a hand without a green source, so I'm actually going to mulligan this. I don't want to get stuck with pretty much just having like a turn 2 port and then maybe not drawing into what I actually need to get out these creatures, so I'm going to mulligan this. This sounds pretty fantastic, so we'll keep it and probably just drop the Dryad Arbor. We can fetch it later on, and it's not really a card I want in my opening hand. Mountain. Simian Spirit Guide. Simian Spirit Guide. Chalice. Chalice for one's fine. So I'm pretty happy to play the fetch land out here, because if they are a Blood Moon deck, I want to be able to get out at least one basic. We can't, of course, play the Mum or the Swords to Plowshares here, but that should be fine. So here we'll definitely fetch for a green source. I'm going for a green source over a white source because it allows me to play more mana dorks and also green suns off the forest. So this Blood Moon isn't as bad as it could be, which is nice. Happy to play a Savannah, it doesn't really matter, and just pass turn. Pretty nice for my opponent. So Chalice into Blood Moon into Rabble Master is pretty good. We can't even swords yet the Goblin because of the Blood Moon. But we do have some outs to this. Especially if we do draw into a Green Sun Zenith, that would be nice. Giver. Sadly, nothing yet. So always pretty tough under a Blood Moon. We just have to really rely on drawing the right half of our deck, but this Rebel Master itself is going to get out of hand pretty fast. So attacking for 8 here, so we have 1 turn to maybe draw into something. But a Chandra is definitely going to turn that off. And just too slow. So our opponent on the play there, having a really nice start. The sideboard's going to be interesting. I don't mind Thoughtseize on the play. I know that Sanctum Prelate's really nice, especially on 4, stopping things like Chalice for 2, Chandra, Fiery Confluence. So Gaddock Teeg's actually also really nice as well. Thalia's okay. I don't mind dropping her down to just a 1-of. The first strike's really relevant. The ability to stop them on curve as well, so not being able to drop something like a turn 4 Chandra is really nice. The swords are still great. Sylvan Libraries might be a little bit too slow. I might take those out. Questing Beast is okay. Powerless Jailer seems okay. Ramunap can most likely come out. Collector Ouphe is interesting. If they're on the Chrome Mox build, it does turn off that, but I don't suspect they are. Cancel's Judgment is also another one that I don't mind. Maverick's been okay. It definitely hasn't been stellar. I've tried a lot of different variants, so from green-white to green-black. I'd love to start trying... I've definitely had a lot more success with green-white depths, which has been doing pretty well so far, especially in the sort of current metagame. Even though people are ready for dark depths, green-white has this protection element to it that allows you to get around a lot of the hate. So Giver of Runes, of course, being really nice. Protecting you from Karakas and Submerge, and even Edict effects, which is really nice. So I think this is how we're going to Thoughtseize. Oh, sorry, sideboard. Everything else seems pretty good. And we can actually mulligan pretty well. Scavenging Ooze is always an interesting one. I might actually take that out for the second Council's Judgment. Just so we're really high on removal. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, Ren 6 is great against our fast starts. We only, you know, some decks play Scryb Ranger, so having the defenses in the air, or having no defense in the air against a Delver deck is usually pretty tough. This hand's stellar, so we get access to our basics straight away. We can play a turn 2 4/4 Knight if we wish, and then we also have Green Suns for anything that we really need, so I'm going to keep this. And I'm going to use my Verdant Catacombs first to get a green source, because the Windswept Heath can get either a green or a white, depending on what I want. A forest or a plains. The Noble Hierarch also really nice against some sort of Trinisphere start. I'm not sure if my opponent takes out Trinispheres on the draw, but that's really nice as well. So my opponent is on the Chrome Mox build, so that's definitely something to take into consideration. Blood Moon's fine. Savannah. So I think we just go plains into Knight here. The one reason I might not want to do that is a Braid might be in my opponent's deck, which can right now kill the Knight. I might want to try 2 Green Suns for something to get rid of the Blood Moon and then fetch and make the Knight a 4/4, but by then I'm also giving my opponent enough time to go and get something like Chandra, so there's definitely sort of pros and cons to each. Can definitely play a land here and then just play my second Knight and attack for 3, which is nice, so the Exalted gets under the bridge, which is kind of cool. Even if they drop a Chandra here and kill one of the Knights, we do have Green Sun Zenith to hit the Ensnaring Bridge. P&K is interesting. Windswept Heath. So I think here I just want to go Savannah into Green Suns for 3 for Knight of Autumn. Blow up the bridge and then have a fetch open. I could actually hit the Blood Moon if I wish. Interesting one. So Pyrrhus isn't too annoying, but if it was, I could deal with the Blood Moon and then get Karakas with one Knight and go and get Wasteland with the other to hit the Ancient Tomb. But I'm not sure if that's good enough. I think the beatdown plan is going to be the best. So I'm going to go Savannah into Green Suns for Knight of Autumn to deal with this Ensnaring Bridge. I didn't want to attack with both, just in case they do double block. I'd much rather have my Knights than them have their creatures. Although it's not the worst trade. I think the worst... I guess I could have even gone and just got another basic there and actually attacked for a little bit more. Because I can still sack one of these forests or plains and get another forest or plains in the deck. So my opponent with 2 cards in hand. Chalice for 2. Interesting. So I think here I'm definitely just sacking most likely the plains to get another plains. Because we have the Noble Hierarch, it doesn't really matter what land we get, but just in case the Noble Hierarch leaves play, I want to have access to 2 white mana for Council's Judgment, so maybe I actually keep this plains around and sack the forest. Scoop, go next. Giver. Okay. So I think here I'm pretty happy just to attack with both Knights. Could even attack with the Knight here. It's not doing much else anyway, so Trading for a Thopter at least means that the Thopter's not going at my Noble or my Giver. Oh, still in damage. Play Giver. I'm going to play the Nurturing Peatland just in case we draw into Qasali Pridemage. We can use it at the same turn. I guess I get blown out by Fiery Confluence if they have it. However, that only deals 1 damage to each creature a few times, so that doesn't kill the knights, which is nice. Looking back, I don't think that Collector Ouphe is worth it. It only turns off the Chrome Moxes. I think honestly, I'm happy just running this back and seeing how it performs. The Thoughtseizers on the draw are a little bit worse, especially against the deck with Chalice for 1. But it will be interesting. I mean, maybe second Thalia is better than third Thoughtseize on the play. Maybe Thoughtseize isn't even where I want to be because of Ensnaring Bridge. I mean, I think Mono Red Prison is a deck that usually runs out of cards pretty fast. And the Ensnaring Bridge plan definitely pushes that agenda. I wonder if they want to run a Khan package, and maybe it's worth bringing Collector Ouphe for that. So maybe that's better than Thalia. Just in case they do even have like a fast Chrome Mox start. At least I'm taxing some amount of their mana. And I mean, if I am hitting a Chrome Mox with Collector Ouphe, it's really doing the same thing as Thalia. It's just a 2/2 creature instead of a 2/1 creature that doesn't have first strike. So there's actually a lot of similarities between Thalia and Collector Ouphe in this matchup, if they do start with a Chrome Mox start. So this hand is fine if they don't start on a Chalice or Blood Moon. We do have access to 4 basics in the deck, so if we mulligan this hand, I'm going to assume we see at least one of them. I'm actually going to take a quick snip. Because this is an interesting one. We get really punished if we don't draw... Oh, sorry, if we don't... It looks like our opponent's keeping on 7. Oh, they mulligan to 6. I think I'm happy. I'm happy with this. It's tough though. If our opponent goes Chalice for 1, we do get the option to actually play this Windswept Heath, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, they could also go for something like a turn 1 Trinisphere or turn 1 Goblin Rabblemaster, which wouldn't be the worst because we can still go Forest into Noble Hierarch and then have up Swords to Plowshares the following turn. Yeah, Pingusta, you're very correct. What are you drinking? It's a banana and peanut butter shake. Leyline of the Void, interesting. Oh, they went down to 4. Okay, so this is a lot more manageable. And drawing a Windswept Heath off the top is pretty fantastic. So we'll go for a basic here. Just a forest. And play Noble. Interesting that they brought in the ley lines. Blood Moon, that's fine. I think I still just play the Knight out here, and then next turn we can Green Suns for something to destroy the Blood Moon. We can't play the Sanctum Prelate because we don't have access to double white. We could hold up Swords to Plowshares if we wish, but any 1/1 goblins coming at us are going to be blocked by the Knight pretty well. Magus is fine as well. We do have the Swords to Plowshares, which is nice. Dryad Arbor, interesting. I'm going to get Knight of Autumn here to deal with the Blood Moon. And then it's going to concede, so... you know, that's what you just get sometimes with Mono Red Prison, where you don't draw... You're always going to have a few whips in a deck that plays so many, you know, Chrome Moxes, or draws a hand that's just a lot of land, or no sort of turn 1 game breaker like Blood Moon or Chalice. So pretty happy to get that win, because I think it's a pretty good start for us. It's a pretty good matchup for us. We have a lot of outs to a lot of their haymakers per se. Yeah, Leyline of the Void is interesting. I wonder how aggressively they mulligan to it, and if that was a big part of their decision making for mulliganing hands down to 5. But you never know. Alright, straight into match 2. So, Pickle the Kid. On the draw. Mono red. This hand's fine. This hand's really good. We'll keep this. A lot of interaction. The Sylvan Library is really nice as well, so that if we're not playing against the deck with creatures, we can sort of heavily draw into other ones. Into like sort of Storm Hate or Miracles Hate. Oh, are we on the play? Interesting. So my opponent may be wanting to discard. Or maybe they just want to be on this. Interesting. Lily, okay. That's fine. I guess we get rid of the Swords to Plowshares, and then next turn we can just decay it. So I kind of want to draw a land, so just like, I don't want to get a land out of my deck here. I want to draw into a land. Nice. Play it. Fetch for a Savannah. And then decay this Lily. The Sylvan Library is going to be really good as well, because it's going to allow us to be really aggressive with drawing into cards. So Swords there is pretty nice because we get to hold up swords. Inquisition's fine. I wonder if even if we draw into a land next turn, can we play the Palace Jailer? Karakas is pretty nice. So this turn, if we tap out for Palace Jailer, because they played Maze of Ith, I don't believe they'll have a way to remove it Unless they have another Mishra's Factory or Swamp and a removal spell. So I'm just going to pay 4 for both of these. I really just want cards in my hand. And I think here I'm actually happy just going Windswept Heath, play Scavenging Ooze, and then hold up Dryad Arbor. So this way we get hold up Swords to Plowshares, Dryad Arbor for any sack effects, and then next turn we can safely play the Palace Jailer. Which might be a little bit safe, but it looks like my opponent's just passing. So I'm pretty happy here just to go and get Dryad Arbor. I could have also used the Scavenging Ooze to get rid of something, but I didn't. So here, pretty happy just to land the Jailer. Can't really attack. They could activate the Mishra's Factory, then make itself a 3/3, so just going to pass here. Holding up Swords to Plowshares. My opponent most likely stuck on just the one black source and really wanting to find something like Urborg, I assume they play. Put on top. Put on top. So here I'm pretty happy just going Ramunap, land from the graveyard, fetch for a basic, and play out Knight. And then it's going to concede, okay. So obviously our opponent getting a little bit stuck there. Veil of Summer seems great. I don't mind Council's Judgment as a 2-of. I think we can definitely take out Gaddock Teeg, probably some number of swords. It would be interesting to see if our opponent is on some sort of like Raging Frontodon, I think it's called. It's played in Reanimator in the sideboard sometimes. It's the 7/6 dinosaur creature for 2 and a black. What's it called? There it is. Rotting Regisaur. I think because we have the Council's Judgments, we also have outs to that, so I'm not too scared about that. Questing Beast seems great. Plague Engineer seems okay, especially if they're on some sort of like Bloodghast plan. Thalias and multiples can probably come out, so I might just change like this. I guess Prelate's actually okay, especially on maybe I think just because our plethora of removal in Swords to Plowshares, Council's Judgment, Abrupt Decay, Sylvan Library, we don't really want Sanctum Prelate. So we'll just submit this and see how it goes. Rotting Regisaur would be very cool out of my opponent's deck. This is unfortunately a mulligan. So we have access to a Dryad Arbor turn 1, but no other land. And in a deck with Smallpox and sack effects, I'm not really keen on keeping a 1-lander where my 1 land is a creature, so we'll definitely mulligan this. And this hand's great. I get to make land drops, I get early removal, an early creature. I'm happy to keep this. I'm going to bottom the Karakas. Oh, are we going first? My bad. It's interesting they always choose me to go first. I'm going to get a Savannah and play this Give of Runes. Savannah gives me more options to drawing into green creatures, or even Scavenging Ooze down the line. That's fine. So here, unless we draw a 2-drop creature, I might just want to play this Wasteland. So if they smallpox us, I can just sack the Wasteland. It's a land that I don't really care about. Him to Dirac, okay. Swords. Wasteland's pretty good for my opponent. Phyrexian Totem. Interesting. So Swords of Plowshares is a pretty nice answer to that. I wonder if after seeing these, if Collector Ouphe's actually pretty good out of the board. I think I'm more than happy to take that there. Hey, Jesus Hugh, we are up a game against Pox, but it looks like we're going to be down a game and going into game 3 pretty shortly. The Innocent Blind into double him to Turak was pretty devastating. Green Suns. We definitely get rid of this. And see how we go. Hopefully draw into a white source next turn so we have an answer to the Phyrexian Totem. But I think the play is, if my opponent has some sort of hand disruption, to keep it in hand. I think we'll just concede there. Because we can't draw into white source and a removal spell, which is pretty rough. So Ouphe is actually pretty interesting. Maybe Questing Beast can come out just a little bit too much. Too high up in the food chain. Thoughtseize on the play is pretty interesting. Can probably even drop down to 1 swords. Can probably drop a knight for Thalia. I think Thalia is really good, especially on the play. And even if we have 3 and draw multiples, my opponent's most likely going to be trying to get rid of them with Innocent Bloods and Smallpoxes, so having multiples isn't too bad. I get 1 more card, and I think it might just be a sword, just in case they do have more creatures than we're actually seeing. Hey, Damo, didn't see you in chat. Apologies. We got on the play, and this hand is pretty lackluster. If they draw into a Inquisition, we don't really have anything to follow it up with. But I'm not sure how much I want to go down against Pox. I mean, if we play a land, pass, and our opponent takes Thalia, this hand doesn't really do much. It's a very reactive hand as well, so I think we might mulligan this. And this hand's actually great. I'm going to keep it and hold up Veil of Summer. We're going to put back Council's Judgment. So just so they can't Wasteland us, we'll lead with Verdant Catacombs, hold up Veil, and then next turn we can play a land, play Sylvan Safekeeper, and still hold up Bayou, which is nice. Sorry, still hold up Veil. But it's just going to be a pass for my opponent. Okay. Another land's actually pretty nice. So we can go Forest into Savannah. and play Thalia. Alright. Innocent Blood, a card that sadly Veil of Summer does not stop. So I could Green Suns for 2 for something like Scavenging Ooze, but I kind of don't want to tap out. I want to hold up Veil of Summer. So I think we just go Safekeeper, pass. Yeah, Pox is interesting. I think that it definitely does a lot better against the creature matchups where, you know, it's Innocent Bloods and other cards are really turned on. I'd love them to play like Liliana of the Veil and then target us. We might as well float a green here and then use Sylvan Safekeeper's ability to give itself protection until end of turn. Oh, it's each player. Rough. I think I still will use just this Veil of Summer just to cycle it and draw a card. Another Green Suns. I guess we discard the Judgment. Sack this. And sack the Forest. Can Green Suns for Dryad Arbor here, which isn't too bad. But it's looking pretty grim. We did see Lilianas from our opponent, so that's the main thing that we want from... Oof. Rough. We sack a creature first, so we can't sack this Dryad Arbor as a land. I guess we keep Green Suns in case we draw into a land. We can go and get something like Noble Hierarch. But it's going to be tough. I mean, we have to draw into a land as well. Okay. That's a start. Rough. Okay. Alright, the beats are beginning. I'm pretty happy to use this here. Just to get a Noble Hierarch, which turns on all our 3-drops as well, which is nice. Smiter would be pretty sweet. You know, not being able to be blocked by, or not being able to be countered as well is really nice. Swords, rough. I guess we might as well attack. Classic. Alright, so we have a turn. Yeah. I guess we can block. And then I'm not sure how we get out of this. Not even Scavenging Ooze does it because we don't have access to double green. Rough. And there's the Scavenging Ooze. Rough. That is going to be game. So we in 1 and 1 going down to Pox. Which, yeah, is pretty rough. I mean, Innocent Blood is really great. The double Smallpox there was pretty brutal. Getting Dryad Arbor and a land, which kind of just blew us out of the water. And even just, even Veil of Summer not really lining up there against the cards that I want. So I want it against the Inquisitions, the Thoughtseizers, the Hymn to Turax. I don't want it against the Smallpoxes, the Innocent Bloods, because they don't target, which is pretty rough, but you take it as you get it. But yeah, cool to see Smallpox still running around. I think it's a deck that gets a lot of crap in Legacy, but you know, kudos to those players that stick with it. I know that Reed Duke's a big fan of it. He's definitely played it at a few Legacy GPs and Legacy SCG events, which is cool. So we're up against Moon Stompy and down against Pox. Yeah, Sylvan Library would have been pretty gas. I mean, our opponent did have a pretty good beatdown plan with that, with the 2 Mishra's Factories. But yeah, Sylvan Library is really nice. I think that's the best card in the matchup for sure. This sounds interesting. The Gaia's Cradle's kind of a dead card, and I think I would keep this 6, so I'm gonna keep it. I'm probably pretty happy as well just to go Bayou into Noble Hierarch to turn on black as well. I mean, if we're up against Storm, then the double Green Suns is really nice. Delver, okay. Oof. So Wasteland in the Sylvan Library seems pretty strong here. It plays around Days, which is nice. And also puts them down a land. Pretty much a force check. Force a negation, okay. No flip, which is pretty nice for us. Wasteland's interesting. Oof. I think here I'm happy just 2 Green Suns for Birds of Paradise. A flip from my opponent to a force. Hey, again, 1993. Thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Windswept. I think I might play out the Plague Engineer first. Not playing a land. They're going to force it. Oh. Pitching Snap, okay. Now, I can go and get Sylvan... I can get Scryb Ranger with Green Sun Zenith here. Actually, no, I can't because the Cradle only has for 2. So we might just go Windswept Heath and pass. Ooh, okay. So here I'm pretty happy to go and get Dryad Arbor, and then go and get Questing Beast this turn with Green Suns. I mean, Scryb Ranger is kind of just a free card, right? So if we do this, we 2 for Scryb Ranger, and then untap Noble, return 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, heaps of mana. It seems brutal. So now we get to use its ability to untap Noble, return... Oh, okay. Float mana first. I guess then we play Cradle. And Green Suns for 4. Questing Beast. Questing Beast. Questing Beast. Feels so good. Such a great card. The Pro Blue on Scryb Ranger is also really nice because it means it just fogs the Insectile Aberration. Questing Beast. Questing Beast. The beast is questing. The quest is ended. So opponent there pretty aggressive with their... I wonder if Veil of Summer's worth it. Maybe if they play black. I guess it is. Questing Beast sadly probably isn't great enough. I can probably take out Qasali Pridemage and Gaddock Teeg as well. Judgment's interesting. I'm not sure if I want it yet. Sanctum Prelate's always interesting because a lot of our removal in Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, and Abrupt Decay is really good. And against Delver, you want to be naming 1 or 2. So I don't think Prelate is worth it in this matchup. So I think we might just run this back and see how it goes. The Veils and Path are going to be nice. Even just for creatures that can't be countered, or at least putting them on the stack. Bookish Matt. Locks it on Smiter, very cool. Woodleaf Liege. Yeah, this deck looks sweet. Extirpate, nice. I have wanted to try out some sort of deck that does play Questing Beast. And oh, what am I boarding for? I'm boarding for it looks like full color Delver. We just won the first match, which is nice. In our first match, we beat Mono Red Prison. In our second one, we went down against... I'm just gonna quickly keep this hand because I'm gonna lead on the Dryad Arbor, and then we have access to Abrupt Decay. So the white mana missing for Swords to Plowshares isn't that bad. I think this hand's fine. I think I'd much rather see a Ponder, though, than a Delver from my opponent. Okay, nice. Ah, thank you very much. Yeah, of course. I did a podcast which was very cool with King from Twitter. But yeah, no, it's pretty funny seeing the amount of people that say Duges on Twitch or Doogs on Twitch. Thank you very much. It always is, hey. And I think I'm just playing it here because if it gets wastelanded, it's probably the land that I care least about getting wastelanded. And if it doesn't, then Abrupt Decay being online is pretty great. But it looks like my opponent shuffled for a land and didn't find one? Wow, okay. So here, I'm pretty happy just to play it safe. Play out Safekeeper. And then just pass back. I could have definitely attacked for 1 there as well and used the Bayou to cast the Sylvan Safekeeper, which hopefully doesn't come back to bite me. Where's the Belcher stream? Yeah, I'd love to be able to play around days for the rest of the game, especially because they were on the play. They most likely they kept days in the deck. But if we can stay ahead, then it's going to be pretty nice. So what I might even just do here is Green Suns for 1 for a white source. I'm going to go for Birds of Paradise just to keep my creatures at different creature types. I don't want to get a human and then get a Plague Engineer next turn. But I'll most likely Wasteland them in the upkeep. Blazing Volley would be pretty strong. Force. Interesting. Okay. Can definitely attack. It's a little bit rough that my opponent can draw off this this Fiery Islet. So I think I'm definitely going to do the Wasteland in their upkeep, so that if they want to do it, they have to also tap their snow-covered plains. Or snow-covered island, sorry. It looks like they will draw off it, okay. Two, four, 5. So not enough yet for Gurmag Angler, which is really nice. But it's definitely a card that I should probably be wary of. Thoughtseize, that's fine. Taking the Thalia, okay. Another Decay, rough. I think I'm pretty happy just attacking with both creatures and then holding up both Draw a Card and Abrupt Decay. In case they're playing as Gurmag Angler, I assume they would have taken the swords anyway, but just in case it gives us a little bit more option. They did play Delver in game 1. So I assume it might even be like a blue-black kind of deck, but seeing the red already in Fiery Islet, I assume it's a Grixis Delver type deck. I mean, even something like True Name here would be pretty brutal. We don't have a great answer to it. If this is a bolt, they have to go for the Sylvan Safekeeper, I guess. Which I don't think I'll protect. I'm pretty happy to keep my mana base right now. Interesting, they're going to go after the Dryad Arbor. So we might as well use it. So sack it to give protection to the Sylvan Safekeeper. This does mean that I don't really want to trade in this Nurturing Peatland for a random spell. I'd much rather just have it as a land. Unless this comes up as my opponent is paying costs. Because that mostly, like, okay, they're going to go with a Thoughtseize again. Interesting. Yeah, Safekeeper is pretty amazing. It's such a small, like, it just does so much for what it is. It's pretty hard to play around as well for your opponents. Hey, okay. Play this first. Get some Exalted. Attack in. I've lost to Safekeeper more times than I'd like to admit. You know what? I probably have too. I think there's definitely stages where sometimes you just blank on it. You're like, you know, Karakas, your Dark Depths, and they're like, Sylvan Safekeeper, sack. You're like, oh, okay. That works. Our opponent is at 8 as well, so the Safekeeper could just go the whole way. However, both our creatures are humans, which is a little bit scary. To be fair as well, my opponent hasn't had a clock either. Petty Theft. Interesting. I kind of want to keep on the beatdown plan and just give this protection right now. But do I really care? I don't think I do. I think I'm happy with this returning to my hand. And then next turn if we draw a land, even if it's not a white source, we get to hold up Abrupt Decay and Noble. That's fine. Classic. Surely my opponent is not thinking of Force of Willing this Noble Hierarch. Okay, thank you. Hey! I wonder if I don't show the Karakas first, and I give her. I use the white from Noble before I do anything else. And it looks like they're going to force it because they don't think I have the other white mana, which is a pretty massive win. That's pretty nice. Now we can hold up Decay as well. And they have no cards in hand. Ooh. That's fine. I don't think we want to Decay now. I'd rather just see what they untap and do. Oh, you can't see the adventure part? That's rough. I think I'm happy decaying here because anything else I can swords. I wanted to see the adventure part to see if they drew into another one, if they can return that. Echoing Truth. Okay. Yeah, the attack kind of made me think that there was something there. Okay, Thalia is kind of nice. Now if they want to adventure, they have to do it now. Which is fine, because now we can just replay this. You're reading my mind at the same time and it's showing up late. Classic. I mean, like, imagine Plague Engineer here. Like, that would just be brutal. A 0/1 giver and no other creatures. Don't do it. Oh, nothing. Okay. Obviously just holding up the Brazen. Wasteland's pretty nice. We get to take them off red if we want. So we'll definitely attack first. I think, yeah, it's like they heard me and they're like, let's just add the mana to the pool. Alright, now I'm pretty happy playing Wasteland. I wonder if I should have drawn a card first. Now the swords is kind of nice. This is fine. I'm going to Wasteland in response. I guess if they had, like, days, they could pay for it. Oh, they can't because of Thalia. Luckily. I don't even have to use these swords to Plowshares, which is nice. Even if they start attacking, I don't really mind, because we can use our life total as a resource. I can just end it here if I wish. I can Green Suns for 1 for another Exalted creature. But I think I'm happy just attacking with the Thalia. Turning off all their fetches, it also turns off Force of Will. Haha, there it is. So I guess we float white in response. Oh, I should have returned the Thalia. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. That's a misplay. I apologize. I apologize. That's really bad. I'm gonna put a punt there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I probably just want to swords this now as well. I think we'll take it. I think we'll take it and see if we can Green Suns for like a Noble Hierarch and attack for 2 again. Wasteland's pretty nice. Could even go for like Qasali Pridemage, which taps us out. Maybe I just want to play around days. Should have wasted into my turn. I didn't mean to F6 there. So hopefully we don't see a float. Okay, no float. That's nice. They can't cast Thoughtseize. This looks like a Gurmag Angler. Yeah, okay. They still can't attack. Wow, okay. What do they have? Like Vapor Snag? They're Vapor Snag? Pro Black. They have to have something, right? What? What? I don't get that. I don't get that. Come on. Come on, it. Pro gamer move, I like that. A punt for a punt. Yeah, I actually like that. We punt, they punt. It's only fair. It's only fair. That was interesting. They obviously kept a very reactive hand because they didn't have a threat until that Brazen Burrower on like turn 7, turn 8, which is pretty nuts for a Delver deck. Did not expect getting that one. So good. So were we on the play there? I think we're on the draw. Were we on the play or draw? Is that soy milk? It is not soy milk. It is full cream milk. The best kind of milk. I apologize if you're not a fan of full cream milk, but damn, it feels good. I'm gonna call that Grixis Delver. Hwah. It's pretty hot here in Australia. We're having some pretty bad fires down south, which is pretty nuts. I think there's like a good bunch of homes that have sadly gone under. But it's pretty hot here. We have air conditioning in the office, which is nice. But yeah, you have a soy intolerance, so I'm very upset right now. I'm sorry. I can't begin to explain how horrid it would be for anyone with an intolerance for anything that tastes good. The pictures are pretty grim. Even the stories are pretty bad. But just sucks. It's only getting hotter. Especially, it's not even summer yet. Still in spring here in Australia, which is pretty rough. We have our match. But do we get it? Oh, we do. We're on the draw. Okay. On the draw. Kazuga. These are always the interesting hands because we're very susceptible to Wasteland. I most likely want to do like Savannah for Dryad Arbor turn 1, which isn't the worst because then turn 2 it gives us either Night, Thalia with Wasteland, or Scavenging Ooze with a green source. So it sounds actually pretty nice. I'm going to keep this. It's not great against a Wasteland deck, but you know we have early creature interaction with swords. We have some outs to combo with Thalia. Scavenging Ooze as well, I guess. My opponent also mulliganed to 6, so a little bit of an advantage there as well. Volcanic Island Delver, okay. Another swords. So I do have the option of just going basic planes into swords into turn 2 Thalia. And even if they daze it, we do have the second swords and a Wasteland. So I'm actually going to bottleneck ourselves a little bit by going for just a planes here. But I don't want to be Wastelanded out of the game. I think that's how we lose this game. So I'm happy to just be pretty aggressive with swords here. I don't really care about days because of the second sword and the Wasteland. I just saw a follow. There's the days, okay. Hey, Gerelium? Gelarium? Thank you very much for the follow. Let me know what you play in Legacy, if you play Legacy, where you're from, what your local scene's like. Alright, so now we get to go swords again. And pass back. I think I want to keep this Wasteland around for now. My opponent is on 4, but I think Wastelanding here puts us behind a lot more than it puts them behind. They definitely have a lower CMC than we do. Interesting, okay. Night, rough. Just don't be Ren. Okay, Bolt's not too bad. I just don't want to see Ren in 6. Hey, Basic Swamps. I've heard of you. I've heard of Basic Swamps. Thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. A basic forest there is pretty brutal. Let's go for Night. Nice, it sticks. Getting this out of bolt range is going to be priority number 1. Rough. You play Abzan Legacy. You play Shadow. Probably saw me win the challenge. Oh, of course, you won the challenge with Shadow. A huge congratulations. I actually have Death Shadow as a loner deck. So I took your list and pretty much copied it. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, very cool to see Death Shadow get a win in the challenge. I think it's a deck that kind of went off the mainstream for a while, so it's great to see it back. Oh, wow. Delve was pretty good. I mean, they do have no cards in hand, which is great. So we can even maybe Plague Engineer next turn, name Human, and then have a blocker for the Goyf as well, if we draw a fetch, or a Black Source. Ah! Scooze. I don't mind Scooze, Giver, and then Wasteland the Volk, so they're off red mana. Come on, no flip. Yes! Haha! One little win. That's all I need. That's just the one little win that I need to maybe pull this game back. Plays another Goyf, yeah. Basic Swamps, what are you doing? Classic. There we go. Okay, that's a pretty great draw. Let's go for Bayou here. Let's name Human. And then let's just pass turn. I guess I can actually eat the Delver here. In case they're on the Hooting Mandrills list, I might as well use Skoos now. My opponent is also on no cards. Interesting. I think we block just Plague Engineer and Skoos and then protect the Skoos. Because they only have one card. It can't be like Land and Bolt. So let's go block here, block here. And then before damage, give the Skoos pro green. I guess like Stifle's pretty bad if they had Stifle, but they didn't, which is really nice. Stifle your mum sounds so offensive. Qasali. I think I'm happy just... we could actually go for Scryb Ranger here. Or just go for another Knight. I think Scryb Ranger is the better play because it allows us to get another green source as well. And it also gives us double safety with Giver. So we'll get Scryb Ranger. We'll attack first. And then second main will untap the Scavenging Ooze, returning the Forest. Play the Forest. Might as well eat their Goyf. And pass back. This also saves the Bayou from Wasteland. Brainstorm's going to be fine. Yeah, Ranger is really messed up. It was really nice to get that win there. Did not see that. I did not expect that to happen. Councils I like. Path I like. Qasali can come out. Gaddock Teeg can come out. Knight of Autumn can come out. Questing Beast is okay, especially if they're on the Ren or Oko plan. I'm not too sure about Veil of Summer. Veil's interesting. I think it's better on the play. Even if we're just trying to get stuff... to give stuff hexproof. Leyline... I think Leyline's actually pretty interesting. Stopping Goyfs and Wrens is pretty nice. And also if they're on the Hooting Mandrills list. Vraska does seem good. I'm just not sure if she's too slow. Especially when I'm most likely going to be playing her on turn 5. Thalia is most likely come out. They do a bit of work, but probably not enough. And then I might even drop down on like one Noble Hierarch. Just to try to get most of my creatures out of the Ren range. I think I'm pretty happy with this. The ley lines I'm always skeptical about, but stopping, you know, multiple threats of theirs is pretty nice. So here's the interesting thing. We don't have any removal other than Plague Engineer, and we don't have a ley line. So we know that ley line is going to be pretty much a dead draw from here on out. But what we do have access to is a really nice mana base where we can go Forest into Noble Hierarch, and then even play like a Plains off the Windswept Heath, and then also have 2 black sources for Plague Engineer. So I think this hand's actually pretty fantastic. The 2 fetches also means that none of the Reliquary is going to come down as a 4/4, so it's only going to be dealt with by like Bolt and Ren, or something like Magmatic Sinkhole. Hex Drink is fine. Sylvan Library, okay. So let's go for basic into Noble Hierarch. Using the Verdant Catacombs because we want the Windswept Heath to get a white source. The days there most likely means they don't have a Wrenn in hand, which is nice. So I don't really mind the days there because if the days is hitting the Noble Hierarch, it's one less days hitting the Sylvan Library. They probably took out Spell Pierce as well, so I don't mind just fetching here. Hopefully not getting stifled. For planes and play this Sylvan Library. Spell Snare, okay. Two blue. Maybe just leveling up. Okay, 4/5 Goif is pretty good. If Playing Engineer comes down next turn, we get to deal with the snake and then also have a blocker for the Tarmogoyf. The swords is really nice as well. Rough. Pyrostatic Pillar? Interesting. That does mean we get to destroy the Hex Drinker. I think you much rather just level up the Hex Drinker. Unless you don't have enough. Maybe they didn't have enough. Leyline's a bit late. I guess we could Green Suns for... I don't mind Green Suns here. Oh, I took out... Rough. I took out Night of Autumn. I was going for Night of Autumn there. I guess we get Night and just pass. Rough. I did not expect this. Rough. Let's just run it back. Maybe Veils are okay. And maybe I might just have one Knight in the deck over Questing Beast. Maybe I just take out Leylines and bring in Thoughtseizers. I really like those. We're on 61. I might just go down to one of each. Mana Dork. This is probably my second league with Leyline. So I've never brought in the Leylines for Rug, and obviously there I did not like it. So I'm happy to go for Thoughtseize instead. This hand's okay. This hand really relies on the Sylvan Library. I don't mind it because we get a 4/4 Knight on turn 3 and a Sylvan Library. But the Cradle's kind of dead. Yeah, I could even port them if I wish. Because I don't know if they're on Stifle or not, I'm pretty happy. Like, there's no downside to just fetching here for a forest and passing. Swords is actually pretty nice. Swords around days as well. I don't mind that, just keeping them off it for a while. It also means that next time we get to play around days as well with the Sylvan Library. I think I'm happy them casting Ren or Tamago if we're getting the Sylvan Library down. And if the Swords is going to pull a Force out there, then I'm pretty happy to see that. And not even a flip on the Delver is pretty brutal. Sure. No flip, okay. Most likely means just another threat for my opponent, which is pretty rough. I actually think Thoughtseize off the Sylvan Library wouldn't be too bad. We're most likely taking 3, 4 here, going down to 13, then going down to 9 if we take the Thoughtseize, going down to 7 if we Thoughtseize. So still pretty rough. Even on the draw, having this is interesting. Knight of Autumn's pretty nice, I guess. Put on top. Put on top. Land. Knight. Rough. Do we have to deal with the pillar? This is a tough one. We can green suns for screws, but we can't eat anything that actually gains us life. Green sunning for screws, we can also play around Pyrostatic Pillar. Because we can green suns for 4 and then hold up Gaea's Cradle. I mean, it might even be like, is Qasali Pridemage in the deck? It is not. I was going to say we could green suns for Qasali Pridemage, try to block the Goyf and then blow up the Pyrostatic Pillar after. We definitely have time on our side. So worst case is most likely another Submerge. The Knight of Autumn's going to deal us 2 damage. Maybe even just another Knight here using the Green Suns is the best play. Playing around the Pyrostatic Pillar, but still getting a creature into play. Just, I guess, hope my opponent doesn't have Daze. Or, like, Spell Pierce. Rough beats. We are 2-2. So yeah, just Pyrostatic Pillar there, not really expecting it. And Submerge being really good there as well. Can't really play around Submerge. I guess we can if we have like Wastelands and Sylvan and Scryb Rangers, but it's pretty tough either way. So congrats to my opponent. Obviously played really well, but just couldn't get the... You need a dog barking animation to spam whenever you say rough. Yeah, I feel like I say rough a bit. I know on that podcast that I did with the King about Maverick, I definitely say, yeah, 100%, a lot. You remind me of a calmer version of Pleasant Kenobi. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sure, like, you know, inside there's obviously that, like, there's that salty part, but, you know, it's just a game and you gotta... Are we on the play? I don't think we are. I think this hand's still pretty good. We don't have a white source, but I'm going to keep it. Dukes, to me, you look like a buffed Sheldon Cooper. Classic. Thank you. These comments are making me feel very, very great after a pretty bad beating from Rug Delver. Basic Island. I kind of want to play... Guys, come on, I'm blushing here. I kind of want to play just like a Maverick deck with Loxodon Spiders, Wiltleaf Leashes, and Skylasher. I think Skylasher would be pretty sweet. Skylasher, for those of you who don't know what it is a creature with can't be countered, reach, 2/2 blue creature. I think it also has flash. Let's see if we can get... Can we get it there? Handsome and wholesome. You guys, thank you very much. Let's finish this off with a 3-2. Let's finish this off with a 3-2. Let's finish this off with a 3-2. This could actually be Storm. Especially if they Thoughtseize here. Or just go off. You know, that could happen. You can't Elk a Skylasher. That's actually very true. One really cool interaction that I saw at the Eternal Weekend Vintage Top 8 was that if you have out a Tabernacle... Yeah, there's Thoughtseize, so it looks like Thalia is going here. If you have out a Tabernacle and you make an Elk, the Elk doesn't get the upkeep cost from Tabernacle because it loses all abilities, including the ability that you get from the Tabernacle, which is pretty classic. Good GM, welcome to the chat. One of my favorite Magic plays was a turn 2 Chain of Smog. It got sent back to them and they put into Obstinate Ballots. Birds of Paradise. So here I'm happy just Wastelanding. Playing Giver and then playing Bird. This means we can also draw into Green Suns for Gaddock Teeg next turn. Maybe I just want to play like four Path to Exile on the board as well for Rug. Because that matchup seems really rough right now. It's interesting that traditionally and back in the day, a 4/4 Knight was really hard to deal with against Rug Delver. Outside of Submerge, if you could get your Knight down above Bolt, it was a pretty big threat. And my opponent missing a lane drop there was great. But now you have the thought of, okay, let's play... Yeah, Path doesn't kill TNN or walkers, which is what you really need Council's Judgment for. Plague Engineer, interesting. I guess we could play Plague and just name, we can play Plague and name Goblin. We can hold up Swords to Plowshares so they can't Tendrils us just for a lethal 20. Or we could play Qasali Pridemage to not only get in for damage, but also maybe get them with a play where they play LED and then try to do something after. Hey, Clips for Life, thank you very much. It's good to be back. I think just so they can't empty, I want to play out this Plague Engineer. This is assuming as well that they are on Storm. With probably no bounce effects in the main deck, I'm happy to attack here with Giver for 2. Chumming in, there's been that list at top 16 in Beijing in the Discord I really like, had 2 paths in the board. Yeah, I definitely like 2 paths. I think I'm only playing 1 here. Because I've chosen Vraska as just a flex slot, but I think that she's a little bit too high. Even though she's nice that she is an Abrupt Decay that sticks around, I think the second path is just correct right now in the meta. It's just so much better. It's just so clean as well against a lot of the decks. Like, even against Eldrazi, they most likely don't have a waste in the deck. We will just 6 when my opponent chooses to do something here. Dark Depths is about to make a comeback at the upcoming GP. What do you mean a comeback? it's up there, surely. But yeah, I think the Depths needs to win something like a GP. It hasn't done so yet. Actually, no. Bob Huang won a SCG Classic, I believe, with Depths maybe like a few months ago. Yeah, Path seems solid. Just another 1 mana instant speed interactive spell that you don't really have to yeah, wait too long to actually turn on. This is kind of scary if they're going for Petals now. Dead to Tendrils. So yeah, I meant, like, in hindsight, maybe holding up Swords to Plowshares is better, so we can go to that 1 life above 20. I really just wanted to get a clock on the board. Which I guess does the same thing. Wishclaw, okay. Ooh. Is Wishclaw... okay, 1 to activate. So they had the Thoughtseize, okay. So now I feel kind of nice about playing the Plague Engineer just in case. This actually looks like a Tendrils for 10, which would be 22. So I don't think there's a way around it. All right. Thoughtseize is great. Veil's great. Collector Ouphe is great. Prelate's great. Swords, not so much. Decay we can probably take out. Questing Beast we can take out. Palace Jailer we can most likely take out. Maybe Palace Jailer is better than the Ramunap, just because we can actually draw extra cards off this. And I don't think our opponent's going to put us in a position where we actually get something like a Wasteland lock on board. Leyline's interesting, it turns off a lot of the stuff, but I'm not sure if it's better than anything that we have in the deck. Maybe I do go full out hate. So Scryb Ranger out. Bring in the 4 Leyline. We can probably go down on a land as well. Like the Cradle? Maybe the Leylines are too much. I definitely rather Surgical, but we'll see how this fares. Turning off Cabal Therapy, any sort of Past in Flames lines is kind of nice. This hand is great. We just don't have access to a white source. Sorry, a green source yet. So this is an interesting one. We can Thoughtseize turn 1, but we can't play Birds of Paradise or Green Suns or Qasali Pridemage. Mullet, okay. I think, yeah. So the reasoning is, this hand, outside of Thoughtseize, can get stuck where we don't draw into a green source and our opponent just goes off before we actually get any sort of hate on the board. So we'll mulligan it, and this hand's a little bit too fair as well. I think we can mulligan pretty aggressively against Storm, because even if we go down to 4 or 5 cards, the hate that we're most likely finding is going to be good enough to keep our opponent off from actually going off before the card advantage matters. So we'll mulligan again. This hand's actually pretty great. We have Leyline, Veil, we can drop Dryad Arbor, and maybe the Plague Engineer. Sylvan Safekeeper is nice to keep some creatures out of a sort of like bounce or destroy effects like Vapor, Chain of Vapor, or Echoing Truth. So we'll keep this. We'll bottom the Dryad Arbor. I think it's the Engineer we drop. It's rough though. I don't think my opponent would be going for... They saw the Engineer, so maybe they don't go for an empty line. So I'm happy to keep the 2 lands to make sure we can cast everything that we draw into. And then maybe just play a land and hold up Veil of Summer, because then next turn we can play the Sylvan Safekeeper and also hold up Veil. So the 5 was pretty nice. Veil does stop Tendrils, which is really nice. Veil also stops Thoughtseize, which I think I'm definitely happy just throwing this into a Thoughtseize, because it puts them down a card, it puts us up a card, or on par, and it stops them from actually having full information as well. So, I mean, the Thoughtseize would definitely take the Veil if we did nothing as well. I think I'm happy just to fetch here. I could try to keep some more lands from the deck to draw into, but I think we're happy just probably drawing... I'm going to draw a Bayou, because I kind of want to see if I can draw into Karakas to be my white source to play around Massacre. Sylvan Library is pretty nice as well. I think here we'll just play out the Safekeeper holding up Veil. And then hopefully next turn we can draw into a land to Sylvan Library. There's probably, like, if I do the math, there might actually be consideration just for tapping out there for the Sylvan Library, because my opponent might not be able to go off on turn 2 without access to the graveyard through Leyline. Looks like a Ponder. Always interesting. I mean, the great thing is, if we do, like, if they do Thoughtseize us, we can protect ourselves and also put them down a card. And 2 life. Which definitely adds up when my opponent is most likely also on the Ad Nauseam line. This looks like a Thoughtseize. Oh, Ritual, okay. Infernal Tutor, okay. This looks like a small empty, maybe? Yeah, it is. Interesting. So then maybe we actually just want to cycle this Veil this turn. They got 10 goblins out of that? Wow, okay. We definitely fetch. Most likely for a Savannah. They did Brainstorming out in this turn, so we do get to draw a card here. Karakas, okay. Giver. Well, I guess that gives us some play. Ugh. No great attacks. So we definitely block with both creatures here. So keeping that, in hindsight, keeping that Plague Engineer would have been pretty brutal. So we can actually, if we don't see it but see it fetch land, we do get to fetch this turn. And hopefully draw into it. Do we see it? Ugh, okay, we get the fetch land. Put on top. Put on top. Play fetch. Pass turn. Oh, we can even fetch for a Dryad Arbor if we wish, and give it protection. That's actually kind of nice. I don't think it changes the math in any way, because we only get one more turn, but kind of cool. Didn't attack with Mum, yeah. Pro red. Alright. Here it is, chat. I need some good vibes to see if we can draw into this Plague Engineer. It's gonna be tough though. Alright, what do we draw? Scrubland. What's on top? What's on top? Oh, the other black card. Oh no. Good games. Good games. Rough. Rough. We get the 50 play points, but we get a finish that we didn't really want. But yeah, the deck list seemed pretty fun. I can definitely see the Vraska coming out and like a second path coming in. I think that's a pretty great swap. Leyline's probably not that great as well. I do still like just the split of Surgical and Fairy Macabre. They both do similar things, but they have different benefits. Like Fairy can't be hit with duress. It can't be stopped by Chancer of the Annex, and also it's probably better against Exhume if your opponent has more than 2 creatures in the graveyard. So this time we were playing 2 Prelates in the main deck over the spot of 2 Plague Engineers. But I actually think the Plague Engineers in the main deck are really strong. At times our mana was a little bit inconsistent. We are just running the 23 lands. I did drop 1. But I didn't want to rely too heavily on my mana dorks as well, so that was pretty rough. Yeah, I do really like the look of the green-white builds with Elvish Reclaimer. Even as a 3/4, it looks really good. I have tried shifting Ceratops, and I did like it. I think since Questing Beast got printed though, I've just been on Questing Beast as my sort of 4-mana go-to. We didn't really see the Jailer there either, which is pretty rough. What's the land that uses black mana to put a creature on top of your library? Volrath Stronghold. Yes, it is. There's a pretty funny video that Goblin Lackey had that was against Miracles, where he had the combo of Mog Fanatic, which is a 1/1 Goblin that you can sack to deal 1 damage to any target, Cavernous Soul's Naming Goblin, and then mana for Volrath Stronghold. So his opponent was like on 6, and each turn he could sack Mog Fanatic, deal 1, put it back on top, draw it, play it with Cavern, sack. And I think he did it for like 3 turns, and his opponent conceded. But that was pretty funny to see. Pretty hilarious. Yeah. Tough times. I think these are probably the big flex spots. Actually, this. Oh yeah. I guess these 6 are the flex spots. So. I would kind of class Sylvan Safekeeper as the other Giver of Runes. I could go back up on Thalias if I want. I guess Palastrailer as well. There's kind of 7 slots here that maybe even Sylvan Safekeep, maybe even the Sylvan Libraries are flex slots. 4 Mana Tithe, that'd be pretty interesting to see. I am a big Mana Tithe fan, but I'm just not sure if it cuts it right now. It is definitely a card that you don't see too often, but when you do, it's usually doing something pretty funny. But that is me for today. Hope you guys enjoyed my stream. Unfortunately, the 2-3 wasn't a great ending, but the games are pretty tight. We had a lot of chances there that we just didn't capitalize on, but that is Magic sometimes. You can find me on Twitter at Dukes, on Twitch at Twitter, BookishMatt. You are more than welcome. You can find all my streams and videos at YouTube/C/Dukes on Twitch. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Stay safe. You're more than welcome. Thanks for coming in. It was good to catch you guys live for once. It was awesome to see you guys in chat. I might even be back tomorrow, pretty much the same time. So right now it's 2:15 in the afternoon on a Saturday. So I will probably be back on at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So that's 4 hours back from now tomorrow. But that is it. A huge thank you. Thank you to all those guys that followed. A huge thank you to all of you in the chat, pulling me through. I've been Dukes on Twitch. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Cheers.